Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. On today's video, I'm going to try my hand at a St. Patrick's Day pillow cover. I've had this pillow insert that I took out of an old pillow and I just had it sitting around for quite some time, so I decided to go ahead and try to make a pillow cover for it. The first thing that I want to do is I want to cut my fabric straight. And on this fabric, that's pretty easy to do without much because I'm just going to follow along the line of this pattern. What happens quite frequently when I'm making these videos is that my husband's in the garage working. So he's running a sander right now, so I apologize for the extra noise. But let me talk about my pillow size and my fabric size. My pillow is 12 inches wide and I believe it was it's 18 inches long. And what you need to do is measure from the center on the side all the way up and back down, or smash your pillow flat, but you need to take into consideration the curve and make sure you make your case large enough. With my pillow being 12 inches wide, I'm going to cut my fabric at 13 inches wide. That gives me about a ½ inch on each side for my cut allowance. And I'll be a little bit generous with that. I won't go exactly 13 inches because I would wind up in the middle of a square. And I want to use the squares to cut by. So, to cut along this straight line right here gives me just over 13 inches. So let me put a little cut mark on that so I'll remember where I'm going. Now for the length, I'm going to do what's called an envelope pillow. And I have a piece of fabric that's long enough that I don't even need to cut a front and a back. I'm just going to cut one long piece of fabric. And for now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut my 13 inches all the way along this fabric because I'm not going to waste too much fabric by doing that. It's just going to be barely too much. So I'll get that cut done first. Okay, so we have the basic shape of the pillow already done. I'm going to go ahead and put the pillow basically in the middle and then fold my fabric over it onto the back. And the way an envelope pillow works is you're going to fold it under and then under again, and I'm going to sew along there, and then on this other side again I'll fold it under once just to hide the nastiness, and then under again to get a really fresh look, a really smooth look. Now my fabric's too long for now. I'll cut it down a little bit, but I just want to show you. Let me show you here. Basically then you put your nice side to nice side and you sew along the outside. Then what that leaves you with is this little opening that you can slip your pillow in and out of, and that way you don't have to store a ton of different decorative pillows. You just store these nice flat pillow covers. So I think what I need to do now is figure out how much more length to take off of this fabric, and let me just kind of play here for a minute with it. I want my final product for the overhang from the top to the bottom to be about 2 inches. So that would be right there, and then I'm going to add another inch and a half or so I can fold it under twice. So I'm just going to cut right along here. As you can tell, am not a professional seamstress. I'm kind of a fly by the seat of your pants type of person and learn as you go. Unfortunately, sometimes you make mistakes that way, but you do learn from them. So we'll just have to see how this turns out. For the two edges that I'm going to fold under twice for the envelope part, I decided to go ahead and use this Heat and Bond Soft Stretch Fusible Adhesive. I have this left over from a curtain project that I worked on. Okay, let's see. So you put this down, it has a paper liner on it, for about 5 seconds until it's bonded. Then you peel the paper liner off and you place the other thing that you're ironing or that you're attaching to it on and heat it for about 20 seconds until it's bonded. Okay, easy enough. Okay, there's some tape on the very end, so go ahead and cut that off. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and use my little Easy Press Mini. I have it here in my craft room anyway, so I might as well use it rather than going and getting an iron. And I think it'd be hard to hold this in place by using the big Easy Press, so I'm just going to start with my little Mini and see how that works. Again, about 5 seconds. So I will just slowly roll across this. Let's check and see if that bonded enough to remove the paper. Okay, so it leaves some adhesive down, and it's hard to see in the camera. It's slightly shiny. So I can go ahead and pull my paper backing up. Let me see if I was supposed to let it cool. Okay, yes, you are supposed to let it cool. So I'm going to let this sit for just a few minutes. Now this time when I turn it, I'm supposed to let it heat up or keep the iron on it for 20 seconds. And since I'm using this check, I'm just going to use the line on the edge of the squares as my guide. I'm not even going to measure and pin or clip, just gonna iron it. So that looks very nice. I'm going to do the same thing for my second fold instead of sewing. Yowie! Okay, let's let that cool. So I did it long enough just to get it to bond a little bit. Then I'll do the 20 seconds with my large Easy Press. I need to figure out which was the better of the two seams. And I think I like this one better. So it'll be on top. And you want the, okay, that would be on bottom though. Okay, so there, once you turn it right side out, it would be on top. And its line is about in the middle of the pillow. It's close enough. So I'm going to start with just pinning these two pieces together so that it stays straight from side to side. Then I want to go ahead at the ends and pin those together. Then I'm going to go ahead and just slide my pillow out the side. I have the same pin cushion and the same pins that I've had for about 30 years. I don't sew very often, so they're fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the front to the back and make sure it's all lined up on front and back on both sides. And then we'll sew it. Right there, I'm going to attempt to stay pretty much on that line. It's not horrible if I get off it a little bit. And I am not a very good sewer, so I probably will. And before I start, I'm going to go ahead and get my thread, my needle and my thread buried into my fabric. And then I'm going to do a reverse stitch to get it all the way back to the edge. And then I'll start coming forward. We're ready to see if this worked out very well, and so you are just going to turn it right side out. Basically, you're just putting your hand in and pulling it through, and then find those corners so you can get those nice and pointed. Okay, so to get the pillow inside, I like to just kind of squish it up, and then I like to put it in the end, that's the bottom layer first. That's easier than putting it in the top layer first, then having to get it back under the bottom layer. So shove it down to the end. Then just squeeze your pillow together again. And then shove it down in. Now once you get it inside, you're going to have to do a fair amount of adjusting. Find the corners of the pillow and kind of shove those down into the corners. It looks like it could use a little adjusting down here, but it's really pretty nice already. And then here's the little envelope area. See how it's over? This is over this side of the pillow. Finished off really nicely. I was even lucky enough to have the squares kind of end up looking like a square from the two layers. I didn't realize that was going to happen. That was just luck. I didn't plan that. But that looked nice. It took me a really long time to decide what I wanted to do and how it came together, and this is what I ended up with. And I want to show you something I learned this morning. And if you go to images and then you filter by free, and let me get it back here, free, and then you type up here Clover, then you can see everything that Cricut has on here that's free that has to do with clovers. And so I selected this design here, and then I just hid some of the layers to come up with what I wanted. So what you would do is you just click on it and then say insert image, and there it is. And so then, okay, so we're back to my design, and then I used the font Affectionately Yours for the letters. And one thing I learned, that when I updated my software today, that the issue with the font has been fixed, and I love, love, love that Cricut has made this improvement. Basically, when you go back to your words, so let's just type something. Let's say hello, and it's affectionately yours. Let's say I don't like it. It takes me back to affectionately yours instead of starting over at the top. That's been something that customers have been asking for. Cricut listened, and it works beautifully. I love that feature. I'm ready to go ahead and make this. So I'll click Make It. Now I attached my 3 words together. I did not attach this layer together because I didn't want to waste all the vinyl that would be between these. And then this is the 3rd layer. And you can see I sliced the word us out of this layer because it's going to be Glitter HTV, and you're not supposed to layer anything on top of Glitter HTV. So I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. It has me on this layer. So that's my Glitter HTV. Type in glitter, and Cricut, it's actually called Glitter Iron-On. So I'll click Done, and then I'll change the camera around. My words are also Glitter HTV, so I'll do them next. And then these 2 clovers or shamrocks, they are out of just a regular HTV, and so when I make them, I will have to change this Glitter Iron-On to just Everyday Iron-On. So let me get this camera turned around and we'll keep working. Here's my colors. You can see I'm not going with the traditional bright green. I feel like this pillow is so dark that I wanted to lighten and brighten it up. So my 2 small clovers will be cut out of this HTV that I got off of Amazon in a multi-pack. And then my big clover is cut out of this kind of turquoise bluish green color of Caesar. And then my words will be out of this glitter white. Hopefully you can see that's a little glittery. The first layer I'm going to cut is with my greenish blue Glitter HTV. Now, With HTV, if you have a pattern or a word or anything that needs to face a certain direction, you need to mirror your HTV. And so that it all lines up together, I will mirror every cut that I make, and I've done that on my screen. So I'm ready to load. I have my fine point blade in, so let's go. Since my next layer is the white HTV and it's glitter, I'm going to go ahead and leave my setting the way it is. And then my third layer won't be glitter, so I'll have to change my cut setting for the third layer. Okay, it's ready for this layer. I wanted to make sure mirror was on. And then my final layer is this regular HTV. I'm going to use everyday iron-on setting for it. And I don't think I said on the prior two cuts that you need the shiny side to be face down. If you can't tell which is the shiny side, try to poke through your material. If it pokes through pretty easily, that's the vinyl side. If it won't poke through very easily, then that is the carrier sheet or the transfer sheet. And this is not glitter iron-on, it's just a plain iron-on, so I'm going to change my setting to everyday iron-on. We're staying with the fine point blade. So I'm going to remove my mat from this. And then I'm going to cut around my design to try to save on waste. We'll start with this layer for the weeding. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to grab a corner, poke through, and just start peeling it off. Now those won't be that close together, so just very carefully cut between them. Now I'll save what I took out of there, the word us. Who knows what I might be able to use that on, but that's cute. I won't have a transfer sheet for it, but that's okay. Okay, so that's going to be somewhere like that. These will be kind of like this. And of course I'll line it up better before I do it. And then my words are right here. And then I know I have one more in there, but you can always turn it over and look at it and see what looks right and what looks wrong. And we have one more to come out of the Y. So then this is going to be across like that. The Easy Press is heated up to 320 and I have it set for 15 seconds. We'll start with this glitter one, and I was very, very tempted to just do it on the pillow with the pillow inside there, but my common sense side says take the pillow out. You don't want to accidentally melt it after you've spent all this time. First thing I'm going to do is just put it on for a few seconds to get any moisture that might be in the fabric out, get it prepared, preheated. I want this to be the main center. I don't really want it to be centered on the stem down here. So it might look a little off-centered to you, but that's going to be on purpose. Now I should have probably folded it together and found the center, but I will use just your old-fashioned ruler to check it. So I'm going to check from this indentation area right here to the edge, and it is just over 7.5 inches. And then from there, wow, that's pretty close. How funny. Okay. Let's move it up just a little bit. Now, before I adhere that down though, first thing I want to do is put a little tape on it. This is some heat-resistant tape that I got off Amazon, and I can link to that. I think I moved it a little bit. I'm just going to start by getting it so it won't move, rechecking the measurements. A little over 7.5, so I think I'm fine. Okay, now let's see if I place these. Well, let me use a little bit more tape. Okay, so if I place the rest of my design, I want to make sure it's going fairly straight. So I can tell that it's running uphill a little bit this way, which means that my center is a little angled. So let's twist it just a little bit. You know, the pillow's not going to sit perfectly straight anyway, but I like to do as best as I can. Now I put the instructions on a label, and so this is 320 for 15 to 20 seconds. I have it 320. We're going to go the minimum 15 because it's going to get multiple pressings. So I'm going to go ahead and use a Teflon sheet. Set it down, and then I just put a little bit of pressure on it. It's a hot peel, so we can go ahead and see if it's adhered down well enough to peel the top off. Yeah, that's hot. Now, somehow my recording stopped, and so I don't know where it stopped. I don't know what you missed, but basically, I cut out all the vinyl and I've put my first layer down, my glitter HTV. Since this HTV is now exposed, you have to use a Teflon sheet on top of it. And then this HTV, I was going to do 295. So let me turn the temperature down. I think it was 295. And I'm going to try it for just 10 seconds. And while I'm waiting for my Easy Press to cool off, I might as well go ahead and set the other one down. Okay, so my Easy Press is cooled down. I have my 2 pieces of vinyl on. I'm using a Teflon sheet since my glitter is exposed. It would melt it, I think, if you didn't. So I'm going to make sure I just have it on one side first. And then before I do the other side, I just want to see if that was enough temperature and enough time. I'll just see if it's sticking. This was a hot or cold peel. Okay, I see it starting to come up. So I'm going to go ahead and do it for about 5 more seconds, putting some more pressure on it. Cute. So this one I'll go a little longer than the 10 seconds that I started with on the other side, and I'll put some pressure on it. Okay, it started to come up. Now that is coming up a little bit, and see, it just wrinkled. So now I have to be extremely careful. I think I'm going to go ahead and peel it the rest of the way off if I can. All right, now that is upsetting. So now I just have to do the best I can. I'm going to try to smooth it out some. Trying to buff it down with my nail. And then I'll put the press back on it, and it'll look okay. I might be able to see it, but it's going to be okay. And see how it looks so far. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that because I have one more layer to do. So it's going to get one more final press. So I'm going to hold the sides up and start in the middle because this one is the one that's most important. It has to be really dead center of where it should be. Okay, so let's see where that ends up. That looks fine. And that looks fine. So let's go ahead and cover that up. And now we're back up to 320. Now the concerning part is burning your vinyl, burning your non-Caesar vinyl. But we'll see what happens. Let me get that back up. I'm probably just going to go 310. The Caesar EasyWeed calls for 320, but I'm a little nervous about melting the rest, so I'm just going to start on the us and this side and go for 10. Actually, I'm going to go for about 5 more. Okay, let's see if my carrier sheet wants to come off. Yes, it does. That's great. Now I can see it's lifting up on that part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. When I was editing the video to get it ready to post to YouTube, I found that I lost the last few minutes. I had trouble with my camera today, and I found out when I turned it on to do this little clip that I was out of storage, so it just shut off by itself before the end of the video, but I was almost done. The last thing you saw was when I was pressing down, I believe it was the U, and then I was peeling up and the us was starting to lift a little bit, so I cut the transfer sheet away from this, and then I ended up turning on my little mini Easy Press because I wanted to be able to just do each individual word separately. And so that's what I did. I put this down, I used my mini right here on the word us, and then I peeled that and I cut my transfer sheet right here, and then I put my Teflon sheet back over and I did the word me, and this is how it turned out. It's really, really very cute. Very shiny, very bright and airy, just super cute. If I were to do this again, you might remember I used the slice function to slice the word us out of this large clover so that the us would fit down and it would adhere to the fabric instead of the glitter, because you can't layer glitter on glitter. If I were doing it again, I would slice the word me out of this clover and I would slice the word you out of this clover because I can feel them sticking up just a little bit. This is very flat because it's only one layer, but this I can feel it. It's not a big deal. This is not going to be used for sleeping on or really anything. It's just to sit on the couch to look cute for about a week. So it's okay, but if I were making a pillow that was going to actually get some use or that was out year-round or even season-long, I would slice those next time. Let me go ahead and stick my pillow inside and I'll show you the final product. Here's a look at the final product. I think it is super cute. Very, very blingy, very shiny, light and airy, just adorable.